Alright, good evening YouTubers. I'm out in the shop tonight and I guess I'm hatching a few plans here for some upcoming projects. Part of my obsession, DIY obsession, is to make my garage more functional and to better store all of the junk that's in a typical garage. I struggle with this ever since I moved into this house. Even though I have this 3-car garage, I seem to still not have any room out here. So my ultimate goal is to buy a Mustang, yep, and store that Mustang in this garage and work on it. That's probably 2 or 3 years down the road, but the other goal I have is to just get everything organized out here, and it seems to be an ongoing battle that I work on every week, and it's just a continuing saga. I'll call it shop organization. So out here having a beer tonight, and I've got some ideas, and I want to kind of run through those ideas and start planning some upcoming DIY projects. So I want to walk you through a couple of those ideas and kind of go from there. So the first problem I want to solve is all of this yard tool stuff that I've got up here in the corner of the garage. I've got the typical rakes and shovels and just basic junk that I don't even really use a whole lot because I have yard maintenance that actually comes and does the yard. But I do sometimes use this stuff on a semi-regular basis or not so regular basis. So I've got all this stuff here, these rakes and saws stacked up here in the corner of the garage, and truth be told, it's just an eyesore. You can't organize it, and it's taking up room for no reason whatsoever. So my idea is to go up here. So even though this garage, I wish it had 10-foot ceilings or even 9-foot ceilings, but it's really only 8 foot. However, I've found that there's a good 6 inches of space up above the garage door. So I can't use the typical 2 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot garage mounted shelving units. But what I can do, I think, is probably install some type of 6-inch deep shelf, if you will, where I'll run a 2x4 across the ceiling near that track, and I'll run another one on the ceiling near this track, and then I can drop down 6 inches with some wood and then run some threaded rod from left to right or right to left across there, probably maybe every 12 inches or every 18 inches all the way back towards the door, and that'll make kind of a shelf where I can slide all those shovels and rakes up across those threaded rods and get them out of my way. Ceiling storage is the way to go with stuff like this, where you can get it out of the way, where you don't use it, you do need to use it, you just grab a step stool and pull it out the other end. But when the door's up, you don't even see it. When the door's down, it's just up against the ceiling. And I think a 4-foot section on this area of the ceiling here will easily store about a dozen pieces of rakes and shovels and brooms and saws. So that's one project that I think could probably easily be done in one day. I just need to do a little bit of planning and go to the home store and grab some material to do that. The other thing I want to do is I want to move this toolbox here, which has all my hand tools. Ultimately, I want to sell it and get rid of it. And then I want to get the top box that matches this toolbox and transfer all the tools into that top box. Problem there is about a $350 problem. So I think ultimately, short term, I'll just move that toolbox over here and stack it up on top of this toolbox until I can better afford the matching larger box that goes on top of this box. That'll free up some bench space here and allow me to better take advantage of all this dead space where this window is that I never planned to use. Another idea I had was I have things like these rhino ramps that would be nice because I only use them every 2 to 3, 4 months to change oil or transmission fluid or what have you in cars. If I could get those off of my workbench, I could free up some storage space down here on this workbench. So once again, I looked up, and even though that doesn't look like a lot of space, and it's really not, again, it's about 6 or 7 inches, and lo and behold, those will actually fit on top if I were to put a shelf up there. So what I'm thinking is I will put a 2x4 up in here and then run me a piece of plywood even with the top of the garage rail all the way back down here, and I'll put a piece of 2x4 on the end wall, and then I'll run a vertical piece of 2x4 underneath to support it. And that'll make me a shelf up top here that's actually quite a bit of storage, 6 to 7 inches high, and that's probably 8 feet long, and I can easily store things such as those rhino ramps up there, and then I can pile various other junk that I might have that I don't use all the time up there as well. So that's quite a bit of storage. So I think that's another project I can easily tackle. Another area of the garage that I want to tackle is this corner back here, my workbench. You know, it's 8 feet long, but then I have another 5 to 6 feet back here in the corner where I've got all these tables stacked and some of my lawn tools that I don't even really use. So I think I could probably build me another workbench that goes all the way back here, same height, and I want to get a couple of more woodworking tools. So with that toolbox gone, I think that'll leave room for a bench grinder and a drill press. And then maybe over here, what I'm thinking is I can turn those tables sideways and stack them underneath the new bench area. And then my new generator that I got for Hurricane Irma needs a place to live. And lo and behold, it looks like it'll probably fit right here in this void next to the tables, and then I'll have more workbench space as well. where I could mount either another tool or I'm not quite sure what I would use it for, but certainly it would be more organized than what I've got now. And then I could take these lawn tools, this blower and this weed whacker, and probably run me some hooks up under my shelf unit and just hang them from the bottom of this shelf to get them off the floor as well. So anytime you want to try to declutter, you got to look up. So that's what I did with this shelf unit here. This is quite a large shelf unit that I built. I forget how long it is, but it's every bit as long as a 2-car garage width. It spans the 2-car portion of my garage, and I made it such that some of these large totes can fit up there. And then what I'm thinking is I can hang a couple of these other items up underneath the shelf to get them off the floor as well. And then the other idea I was hatching here is this shelf kind of goes over to the wall. I can extend that shelf over to this cabinet that I built and have another shelf. And turns out the area above that will easily fit all of these gas cans that I have, and even propane bottles and buckets and oil containers and that kind of stuff. There's a good 5 to 6 feet there that I can span right across that front of that window and get a lot of this stuff that I've got stored down here that I don't use a lot up off the workbench and get it up there out of the way. So that's pretty easy. I could run me a couple of 2x4s across there and a piece of plywood as a shelf and easily get that stuff off the ground and off my workbench. So looking for ways to clean this place up. I think some of this is actually pretty easy. We're talking about, all told with all of these projects, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 or 8 2x4s, and maybe a couple of pieces of plywood or OSB for the shelving, and some threaded rod for up here with some nuts and washers to hold the threaded rod inside the 2x4s. And I think I can clean this place up a whole lot and probably get it done in a weekend, all of these projects. Another thing I'm looking at is we've still got all this stuff from when we moved into the house sitting out here, and if it could be packed in some of these totes that are 6 inches deep, I could easily build another shelf up here above this door on the right hand side with some threaded rod and 2x4s, and probably put, gosh, I don't know, 6 or 8 of those 6-inch deep shelves up there, or bins up there, and get some of that stuff up off the floor and store it up above the garage door. And again, this door is never really used, so it really wouldn't matter. It's not going to block any light. It's going to be right up against the ceiling, and it's just perfect for storage if I can figure out how to get it done. Another thing I want to work on, and this might be a little bit longer term, is somewhere right in there on the wall, I'm going to install a mini split air conditioner. I just can't stand the Florida heat. Working out in a garage, it's just impossible. So I'm going to put either an 18,000 BTU or a 22,000 BTU mini split air conditioner, and I'm going to bore a hole through the concrete wall, and on the other side I'm going to mount the outside condenser unit and wire it into my my sub panel and get me some air conditioning out here. It's just unbearable out here. I can't do anything with this heat. It's September, almost October, and it was 90 degrees today. It's just insane. Freaking humidity was probably 60%. It's just oppressive heat, and I can't stand it. So some of the other projects I'm looking at as well is I want to get rid of this old table saw, this old Craftsman table saw, and I'm going to try to sell that on Craigslist or something. And I'm going to buy me a Delta table saw. It's a hybrid 36, I think the model number is 36-725. I'm going to get that Delta table saw so I can get some of my wood projects up and running, and we'll kind of go from there. I've got a lot more projects planned out. I just need time and a little bit of planning, and I'll get to them. I also want to run compressed air from my compressor over there, and I want to install a ceiling mounted air hose reel up here on the ceiling. So I'll run a hose across there somehow and get compressed air up on the ceiling so I can easily get to it, instead of having to drag a hose that's just wound around the handle of the air compressor. So that's 4, 5, 6 projects that I'm looking at doing. I've actually got quite a bit more in mind, but those are the ones I'm going to tackle first, and hopefully I can get started on some of these projects here pretty soon. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I've been getting a lot of good messages, private messages, about some of the projects that I've done, and hopefully you guys will find some goodness in some of these new projects that I want to tackle. I'll certainly film them and get them up on the channel, and hopefully it'll inspire you to do something similar. So if you liked the video, press that like button down there, give me a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button, and there's more coming. So thank you. Bye.